At one point this season, it looked like the Jaguars might have a chance to be the number 1 seed. Their schedule was very favorable. They've hit a rough stretch. One seed out of the question now. Trevor Lawrence could have been an MVP candidate as well if they had elevated into the 1 seed. He's now in the concussion protocol after last night's loss. Doug Peterson announced that during his post-game press conference. He was hurt on one of his 3 scrambles on the final possession, but Peterson isn't sure which one it was. You thought it may have come earlier.
I thought there was a third quarter grounding play when they were backed up in their own end zone. Right here. This is, to me, the play that he really hit his head hard.
Oh,
right?
man, yes.
Look, he almost grabs to his head. If you rewind that one more time, guys, watch his right hand. He hits the ground, and his head hits. He wants to grab his head.
That's a little
right here.
fencing. You
there
see
was
that
a little fencing.
We see that little split-second fencing posture from time to time, and the league will say, "Oh no. That's that involuntary reaction."
Yeah. Watch his left arm as he goes to the ground here. He grabs his head. Guys are smart, right? I'm a dummy. I'm a meathead. All right, if I was Trevor Lawrence, I'd go, oh, man, my head hurts. Oh, wait, I don't want to show anybody because I don't want to be put in concussion protocol. To me, this was the play that I thought was like, when I heard that this morning, I went, this is the play it happened. But, I know he took some shots towards the end of the football game as well, so we'll see where that goes.
Somebody yesterday, and it may have been Brock Purdy when he went out for a concussion evaluation.
He did the same thing, right?
The new game that is played
by,
and I'm not saying that this is wrong. Players want to play.
You'd do it too if you were
The system needs to be constructed and implemented to protect them from themselves. When you look at what T.J. Watt said last week, when you look at what his brother J.J. said, how flippant he was about the whole issue, and it's like, what visor, what? The players want to play, and the players are wired to play.
Right.
And the players will come up with ways to try to finagle their way onto the field. Peyton Manning, remember when he said that, I used to tank the baseline test in the preseason so it'd be easier for me to pass it if I ever had to pass it with concussion symptoms. And then it was a joke. Oh, funny joke. Where's the punchline? Right? But that's how players are. The new thing is lay there on your back and collect yourself so that you don't wobble when you get up.
You don't get up and do the whoa.
And I say that yesterday, and Devin's like, yes, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, because that was the thing last year. The whole ataxia, whatever, they had different buzzwords for it, words we had never heard before.
Right.
But the whole Tua wobble, and we all knew what that looked like. I think guys are staying down.
Lay there,
guys know how to
minute.
not create something. Not that they're being coached to do that. Yeah. They want to not get pulled out of the game.
Yeah.
I know what I signed up for. That's what they'll say. I know what I signed up for.
Right.
I know it's a risk. I don't want out of the game.
That's right.
I'll deal with it later.
They love
I'm
playing.
fine.
The adrenaline of the game's like a drug.
Exactly.
All of it. It's you're exactly right. And again,
because we've seen that a few times this year where the hands start to go up and then they get them under control.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's I understand it. I would be doing the same thing. We'll see where it goes.
We're not saying it's right. We're not saying it's wrong. We're saying that the mechanism put in place by the league has to take that into account.
Yeah.
And overcome that.
Right.
And that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. It's not. And then that's where, I think, to what you're saying, you just got to go, as a natural human being, the way he was thrown to the ground there and hit his head.
That was violent.
Right. He should be looked at, period. I mean, to your point.
But you know what? When I push them on that, they say we don't look at the impact, we look at the aftermath. Well, maybe you should factor in the impact if they are playing games with the aftermath.
Yeah.
The impact itself, like the impact of Ezekiel Elliott's knee into the face of T.J. Watt should have been enough to get him an immediate locker room concussion evaluation.
That's right. The aftermath thing doesn't work for me just because, again, I think it's, what you're talking about, the animal of the football player and all that too. It's like a boxer. He could take a big hit in the head and be wobbly, but he's still kind of there standing up. I mean, a lot of us are rockheads. I got hit by a car. You know what happened? I got up and started walking to the front door of my house, right? So, I mean, again, it's like, and I was missing my front 4 teeth and all of that. So there's something in some of these guys, not trying to brag about myself or anything, but there's just something in football players in general. Keep going. I see 3, but Mick said, look at the one in the middle, and I'm going to kind of walk that way. And
listen,
that's just the way we do
it's been 10 weeks since I had my kidney stone in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah.
And all the agony I was experiencing, my thought was, I got to work today. I got to get to work. I got to go. I got to go. Get this out of me. I got to go.
Yeah.
So that's just the way we are as humans.
It is the way we are in humans. And we'll see. Right now, Jacksonville hey, they're teetering at a dangerous spot, like you mentioned, with where they are in the playoff picture, losing 3 in a row. Right, it's 4 out of 6 now. They were in a tight one against Houston where they just pulled it off. They could have lost that football game, but not playing good all-around team football right now. That's
Remember
the big
we thought, though, getting their asses kicked by the 49ers
know.
would be the thing that turned it on, and
I
it
know.
lasted for a while
Yeah.
until they hit this AFC North stretch, Bengals, Browns, Ravens.
Yeah.
And that Bengals game, they could have won. They should have
Yeah,
won.
Bengals and Browns. They're going to look at
This
it and go,
this losing streak started, and it was on them. They lost sight of whatever it was, that laser focus they got after getting their butts kicked by the 49ers. They lost sight of it.
Yeah, I think so. And, again, they're a team, like I talked about with Baltimore, I think they have some of the same issues. The fact their front four can't get there, right? They have to blitz to get pressure, and that's allowing Joe Flacco or Jake Browning or last night Lamar Jackson and company to make a number of plays. But, man, they can't go too long without Trevor Lawrence. I know that. Because the fact that, like we talked about, they can't run the ball right now. They're not dominant that way. They need Trevor Lawrence, his right arm, to pick defenses apart and make big plays. And I think there's going to be a lot on his shoulders here down the stretch just because the defense isn't functioning and the run game isn't functioning.
Coming up this weekend, the Buccaneers are coming to town.
The Buccaneers are coming to town.
That's actually, you know what?
Yeah,
that's kind of one of those,
good.
kind of like that.
I
Yeah,
know.
But
The beer drinkers and the Buccaneers fans should adopt that.
There's a chance. There was a time not that long ago when all 3 Florida teams were ass. Now, I know the Bucs won the Super Bowl 3 years ago, but all 3 could make it to the playoffs this year. I doubt there's been a time where all 3 Florida teams, since the Jaguars arrived in '95, I doubt there's been a year where all 3 have been in the playoffs.
You're probably right about that. Now, like when
maybe
I was,
'99,
and even
maybe
the
'99.
2000s a little, like, because I know my Buccaneers football team and Jacksonville was both good at that point, and then that was Miami, post Jay Fiedler, but maybe getting into Chad Pennington in that area too, where. It could have been close. I think,
1999.
It was
at a
99.
minimum,
That was the year.
1999.
Okay.
Jaguars, Dolphins, and
Bucks.
Bucks, because
Bucks
that was
lost
the
in
year
the
the
NFC
Bucks.
Championship.
Yeah, that
Right.
was the Burt Emanuel game.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Sure.
So it has happened before, and it still could happen this year. But the Bucks and the Jags are going to have something to say
cancel
about
each
each
other out
other's
maybe
chances
here.
because
Yeah.
they may cancel each other out. And if you don't have Trevor Lawrence, it's C.J. Beathard time. And Trevor Lawrence didn't miss a game after having the knee injury early this year. He didn't miss a game, although he missed time at the end of the Bengals loss with the ankle injury.
Yeah.
Concussion, though, if they do it the right way, if they're true to the process, if he didn't tank his baseline test back in training camp, he may miss that game. We'll see. But this whole thing about we got to treat the players as patients, not checklists. I mean, it felt like TJ Watt was treated like a checklist, and he was the one grabbing the pen and checking the boxes to get back onto the field. That there's a force of personality involved.
right.
And the Steelers, it's because it's obvious. I don't care whatever bullcrap they do with this joint review that the league and the union are doing. They're not going to ever convince me that TJ Watt shouldn't have been removed from that game and taken to the locker room for a full-blown concussion evaluation and shut down that night. John Madden always said, when in doubt, leave them out. And there was no doubt he should have been out of that game.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I hear you.
And I understand they want the best players to play, and the players want to play, and we want people to stay tuned in. The ratings are still great, even with a bunch of bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I think the fear always is they don't want to be wrong about keeping a guy out.
Yeah.
They'd rather be wrong about
Right.
keeping a guy in.
Yeah.
I think they should flip that.
Yeah.
It's better to be wrong about keeping a guy out, because if you're wrong about keeping a guy in and then it happens again and you get that cascading effect of symptoms in
Yeah.
your brain where the
Right.
swelling goes out of control and somebody dies, like I don't think anybody wants that
No, I hear
to
you.
be the end result if they let a guy stay in the game who shouldn't be in the game. All right. Hopefully Trevor Lawrence gets proper care as a patient, not as a football player who is in a playoff chase and is itching to play. He needs to be thought of as a human first
Yeah.
and a football player second.
That's right.
And they preach that. That's the thing. They preach it, but they don't practice it. It all sounds good when they're saying, well, this is how. But then when it's time to do it, well, we got some games to play. We got some bills to pay. We got some people who, we got sponsors.
It just comes back into all the things you talk about. The human element, he's a great competitor. I don't want to be the guy on the sideline that keeps him out and disappoints the rest of the team. It all starts to go that way, and it makes it hard. And, of course, it's hard to tell a grown man who's bigger than you, too. You go like, hey, I don't want to hold you out. And then he goes, hey, F you, I'm okay. I see fine. Ask me any questions. Screw yourself. I got that one right. F you, I got that one right. So that's where it does become hard.
The key word in all this, too, they like to throw around the word independent neurologist. Mm-hmm. It's not independent. It's unaffiliated to a team. The neurologists who are hired are still working for the league, the broader structure that wants these guys at a certain level, and they'll never admit it, but at a certain level, the momentum is keep them on the field. Yeah. It's good for business if our best players are playing, if all of our starting players are playing. We don't want to be in the business of clutching pearls and removing guys from games, because if we start doing that too much, there's not going to be anybody left. There's going to be a bunch of backups, and nobody's going to want to watch. There's a business element to it.
Sure.
You're not independent. Truly independent doctors would have the ability to say to the league, we don't care. We are here to protect these men from themselves and from you. Unaffiliated is not that same way. And I'm sorry they can get mad at me about it, but the truth is the truth. All right.
Well, all right.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, just, listen, just to piggyback off of your Trevor Lawrence and what we're talking about, too, because I know we had some, clips of some of the plays, the mistakes he made, right? Like, Jacksonville's getting to a point here with the way they're playing, right? And I don't want – there's a lot on Trevor Lawrence right now, and they need him to be healthy. So that all plays into this thing you're talking about, too. But he's got to be, borderline perfect right now with the way they're playing, right? I mean, you talk about, the 2 fumbles, right? You talked about this already. It's 3rd and 17. It's 3-3. I mean, damn. Just hold the ball, go down, and it's 3-3. And who knows where the game goes from there? That was a weird one. I don't know how to explain it.
Somebody was saying he was trying to switch hands. He wasn't trying to switch hands. The ball just fell out of his hands.
I think he was trying to get ready to slide, and he just lost the football. Here's the one at the end of the game still. Again, the game's not out of hand here. Trying to make something happen, right? It's a 3rd and 10. He's trying to stay up. He's trying to make a throw and do all that. Loses track of the football. Again, kind of hits his head on the ground there, too, as well. But, yeah, they're at a point right now where they're not playing good enough football on either side of the ball to have the luxury to miss Trevor Lawrence, or Trevor Lawrence needs to be on his game, throwing dimes like he did to Jamal Agnew in the 3rd quarter on the 65-yard play. But again, they're another team, too, where you look at and you go, there's a little too much talent and firepower at receiver and that quarterback and all that they have there, that they should be able to, strike a little bit more than they did last night. Disappointing game last night, certainly. Defense hung in there for a while. They broke in the 3rd quarter, but it wasn't bad. I think the offense is the one that kind of disappoints you as the night goes on.
A Final 8 team a year ago that we both thought weren't being taken seriously enough this year. They could miss the playoffs, and the Texans and the Colts could get in instead of them. At least one of them would get in if the Jaguars
at one point.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
8-3, and here they are.
There's the chase for the finish. All 3 8-6. Jaguars, Colts, Texans all vying to be the champion of the AFC South. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.